Hello, I'm so grateful you're tuning in to this episode of the Vibrant Mom podcast. Welcome in. We're going to be talking today about a topic that feels really near and dear to my heart, especially in the last couple of years as I've been navigating this mid 40s life transition. And I can't wait to share with you my best tried and true tips for navigating and dealing with brain fog, memory challenges, and all of the cognitive changes that occur in working motherhood and as we near midlife. I think that there are three primary reasons why working moms experience brain fog or just difficulty remembering things, feeling overly forgetful, walking into a room and can't even remember why you were there in the first place, having a hard time thinking as deeply for as long as you're used to, having a difficult time combating distraction and your mind kind of jumping all over the place if that wasn't your norm before. So I'm giving examples of what I consider to be all types of brain fog. When I talk with other women, most women just say, I don't feel like myself. I can't say that there's anything specifically wrong, but I just know that my brain isn't working as well or working in the ways that it used to. I mean, definitely before kids, but even maybe a year or two ago. So if that's you and you know it might have something to do with stress, but you're not exactly sure what's going on, welcome in. You're in exactly the right place. Now, I think that there are three main reasons why working moms are reporting that kind of mental stress and difficulty attending and focusing and forgetfulness and just like the brain feels fuzzy and like it's not working in the way that you're used to it working. The first reason, which I think is a big one for many women, is sleep disruption. When our sleep is disrupted, either we're not able to fall asleep and then we're therefore shortening our quality sleep window, whether we're woken up multiple times or even just once in the middle of the night by a snoring partner or a young kiddo or any age kiddo that had a bad dream and or isn't feeling well or needed to go to the bathroom and something woke you up, or whether you're just waking up at that like 3:30 to 4:30 time frame and aren't able to fall back asleep. When we experience sleep disruption, it has a significant impact on our mood, on our energy, and definitely on our cognition. So, number one reason why it could be really difficult to have a high functioning lack of brain fog experience, it's the quality of our sleep. I think the second main reason why brain fog is so common between all the moms that I know who are working and nearing 40s or have ventured into their 40th decade is that we haven't figured out what our updated strategy is to relieve tension and stress throughout the day and to offload the mental and emotional burden that really accumulates on a day-to-day basis, of course, as a working mom and as a professional. There are so many details. There are household, kiddo, personal, and professional details all swimming around in your brain. And as we're going through each day, there's usually a lot of highs and lows, challenges and successes, insecurities and obstacles, and like parenting demands where we don't know exactly what we're doing and we're needing to figure out our approach to be with our kiddo or help ourselves through whatever phase and stage we're in with our young children or teens or tweens. And it takes some, I think, training. So stick with me. I'll give you some support for this over time, but also intention and consistency to know how to not let the mental and emotional burden just build and build. I think as that burden builds, our emotions get a lot more volatile and our brain doesn't work as quickly or as deeply or as well. I think it's a really big contributor to the brain fog. Too many details, lots of competing priorities, and some strong emotional charging that needs a systematic and intentional and caring way to kind of work through. Otherwise, we've got just too much going on the inside, and our brains are struggling to cope. And then the third reason why brain fog is a really real, it's not just you thing for women of our age group is the hormonal changes that come as you near your 40s, or certainly as you enter and live through your 40th decade. And don't worry, mamas, those of you who are listening who are in your 50th, you already know this is something that you've been living with for a while. Perimenopause, or that up to a decade of time as your body is changing prior to the menopause transition, is full of hormonal changes that have a deep impact on the brain and body. And what's so interesting to me is that most of the earliest changes that occur as a result of those fluctuating hormones is in the brain. So yes, eventually you may experience things like hot flashes or joint pain or body composition changes or any of the myriad of physical manifestations of getting closer to menopause. And when those hormonal fluctuations start to become a little wilder, and then the overall hormonal level comes down in your body, prior to those big physical signs are usually cognitive or neurological signs. So we're looking at memory, brain fog, mood, irritability, tearfulness, energy fatigue, and having a harder time bouncing back in ways that you used to. Now, in the Vibrant Mom Collective, we do deep dives on how to manage the emotional challenges that come with being a human, come with being a mom, and come with being a working mom nearing midlife. And we also do a deep dive on tools that help you to navigate your inner world with skill. So make sure to check that out. I'll always link it in the show notes or in the blog post below. So when you're wanting more from these podcast episodes, there is a place to go to get all of your questions answered, to get actual tools that help with these challenges, and then to join an awesome community of women who are all wanting to move toward that vibrant health and emotional well-being and deeper fulfillment that we're all craving. But today I want to give you my top 6 favorite supports for brain fog. If it's not coming your way yet, it's probably on its way. So maybe get a head start on these now. These will not only help with brain fog, but a myriad of other health and wellness benefits come from them. So it's worth your while. And my friend, if you are feeling the challenges of brain fog, I feel you. I see you. I have been through it. I still go through it. And these 6 things help me so much. And I know that they're going to help you too. So the first way to start to tackle brain fog is through some strategic nutritional support. And I'm not talking about overhauling your diet or putting a ton of time into food, though that may be valuable. My guess is as a working mom, you're straddling so much. I don't want to give you a huge to-do list. I want you to think about the way you're doing just a couple of things nutritionally so that you can be a little bit clearer, a little bit confident in your brain, and a little bit closer to feeling like the self that you remember prior to kids, prior to the brain fog situation. So we want to look at increasing your fiber and protein intake overall. That is the goal to work toward over the next decade for you, my friend. And I'll give you a lot of ideas about how to do that and a lot of reasons why you might want to do it over time. But for today, I want you to think of getting minimally a significant more amount of protein in your day as early as possible. I find that a lot of women are in a delayed eating pattern where they're waking up, having their morning beverage, and then not really eating until around lunchtime. And there are many reasons why that may have worked for you in the past, but I think that if you continue that habit, you're going to start to notice some significant impacts in your brain and body and mood. So we're looking at bringing in more nourishment, more care, and more priority for yourself in the day. I know you're going to make sure your kiddo has breakfast. I know you're going to send your kiddo off to school with snacks and or a lunch. Please consider letting your body and your brain be just as precious to you as your loved ones. So we need to find simple and easy ways to increase that nutritional quality. It's going to really help with inflammation and enough energy availability so that your brain and body can perform for you and do all the things that you want it to do. Today, my tip for increasing your protein early in the day is to try out my favorite protein coffee recipe. I'll be sure to link it below so you can find it. But basically, it's just a little bit of milk or milk substitute cold, couple shots of espresso, a scoop of your favorite protein powder. Mine is Momentous. I love their unflavored whey protein. It's amazing. I have a referral link for you on it. It's amazing because you get 20 grams of protein in one scoop and it tastes like nothing, literally, and it dissolves beautifully. So no grainy taste. And then shake that mixture up in a mason jar, pour it over ice, and you've got an iced protein coffee ready to go. If you're not a coffee drinker, if you don't want a cold beverage in the morning, you can also just put a scoop of that protein powder in water, shake it up, it'll dissolve, and then just chug it. That's fine too, if you prefer it that way. But I'm kind of a foodie. I like things to taste really good. And this protein coffee recipe, again, which I'll link below, is just my favorite. It ensures that even before I've thought about eating, before I figured out my meal plan for the day, how I'm going to nourish myself, I've already given myself 20 grams of protein. So mama, if you do one thing for this first support, increase your fiber and your protein intake, it might be to plan how you can get around 50 grams of protein in before like mid-morning. Can you think about adding 20 grams of protein through a supplement? And then can you think through what is a breakfast that you can make very easily on repeat, even if you're bored, that has around 20 to 30 grams of protein in it? I promise it's going to make a big difference in your cognition, how you're able to be productive and relaxed and move through mental and emotional challenges with much greater ease. Okay, my second favorite thing for brain fog is another supplement. And don't worry, there's going to be other things that don't include buying supplements, but the research that is coming out on women's health in particular in the perimenopause 35 through 50 years old zone is so strong, and it's so easy. Once you have those things in your day and you figure out where you're going to give it to yourself in your day with regularity, it's like a 20-second thing that can really make a difference. So I'm always thinking about what's efficient and what's effective for you. So creatine supplementation. I also like the Momentous creatine. Again, I'll be sure to link it below. As a Vibrant Mom Collective listener, you get a little discount. So if you're interested in trying it, it's a really good brand, has strong backing by my favorite women's health expert, Dr. Stacy Sims. So that's how I was exposed to that brand, and that's why I use it. So creatine, you might think about it for like bodybuilders or something like that, but there is so much information coming out about how it is a wonderful supplement to add for brain health, for brain fog, for kind of like dementia prevention. They're doing research on that. And then also not for like muscle building, like bodybuilder stuff, but for women trying to keep their muscle mass really healthy. After 40, there's a steep decline in being able to maintain and build muscle mass. So we want to really preserve our muscle. So it is a really kind of key midlife supplement to put in your daily schedule. I like to do just one scoop of creatine. It comes in a little pre-measured scoop. It's very easy. Just follow the guidelines for how much to give yourself based off of what the little container says. Give yourself a little scoop. I put it in a little bit of orange juice because it doesn't dissolve as well as I would like it to. I like things to just really disappear, and it has a little bit of a grainy texture. So I just put it in a little bit of OJ, like a little shot, mix it up, and then just shoot the whole thing. You could use water. You could also add it to your morning smoothie. There's a lot of ways to incorporate it into your morning routine. With creatine, it doesn't matter what time of day you take it. You can take it whenever you want to take it. I just recommend that you find a time of day where you're habit stacking, like you're going to do it every day at this time, so it's easier to remember. And also, what you need to do is just consistency to get that brain cognitive effects. It's just taking it consistently over a period of time. Whenever possible, I like there to be no cost or low cost solutions for all of these vibrant mom practices. And these aren't no cost, right? They are purchasing supplements. I've done the hard work of trying to get you a discount so they're more accessible to more people. And so if these first two don't fit your budget or you're just not ready to take on another task like that, consider the next four, but then eventually really starting to think about the nutritional benefits of protein, fiber, and creatine. Those things are really going to help the neurological changes that occur in this critical decade. Okay, the third favorite support that I love is finding a way to close out the day to signal like an emotional and a mental unwinding for yourself. So close out the day could be before you go pick up your kiddo from school or from aftercare program. So right in that work to home life transition, or close out the day could be a nighttime little ritual you create for yourself. And it doesn't have to be long, like nighttime routine, but just something that you do in bed prior to going to bed that helps you to reflect on what the day was like for you, to find a way to work through all of the thoughts, all of the challenges, all of the to-dos that are left undone, and to find a way to acknowledge the emotional range you experience throughout the day. When we don't work through our unfinished thoughts and hold a small space for our emotional content, even if we're not paying attention to it, even if we're just kind of holding it to the outside, it stays with us. It takes a lot of energy to compartmentalize and keep things at bay. And over time, there's nothing like motherhood and midlife to make sure that you just can't do that anymore. Like the volume gets too big, the issues feel too important. Your hormonal fluctuations influence your mood and influence your kind of mindset and ways of dealing with these things. So it's kind of it's really hard actually, but it's an amazing time to gain some new tools and strategies to fit the you that you're growing into. So I recommend you thinking about ways that you can work through your thoughts, your unfinished to-dos, and your emotions before you end the workday or the day, as many days as you can. This way, we're not kind of getting this cumulative, built up volume of internal stress. That cumulative And growing internal stress does mean that you're not able to work through your thoughts. You're not able to remember things and you're not able to be as present. So therefore you're very distracted, which just exacerbates the brain fog situation. Now, you might be thinking, Cara, I don't really know how to work through all of the mental clutter or the mental load or all of my emotions. And I get it. I'm here for you. That's why I created this channel. Keep tuning in. I'll keep providing excellent free content on how to do that. And if you don't want to wait, jump into the collective. We're here for you. It's all about gaining next level emotional regulation and stress management skills. So that third favorite recommendation is start to close out the day, either the work day or the actual day, with some sort of ritual, some sort of simple but intentional and meaningful way to acknowledge the unresolved, to put your thoughts and your emotions through a system that you create that helps you to move through it and complete a stress cycle in any given day. And you can't complete a stress cycle with tasks done and to-dos done. My guess is you're living a full life. And if you're a professional woman, you've got a never-ending list of to-dos. We need to start to shift the script from stress being managed because things are going well and we've done everything. We've got to manage that stress through rituals and through tools and practices we do on the inside. So now's the time to get skilled up, mama. Okay, my fourth favorite thing that can really help with brain fog and also really help with just better cognition, feeling bright and fresh and like you can kind of perform and speak and write or deliver whatever you need to do at work. And that's through incorporating a little combo of short, high intensity movement practices into your week. So high intensity interval training and sprint interval training are the two recommended types of movement to help with so many things in midlife: body composition, muscle, strength, energy management, hormonal fluctuation support. But yes, those things can really help with mood and cognition. So rather than thinking about your movement strategies be long and steady and maybe even intense cardio, you want to think about short, intense bursts of high intensity output. And what's great about this recommendation for working moms is you could do either high intensity interval training, HIIT or sprint interval training sessions in 20 or 30-minute little sessions for yourself. You can do it with equipment. You can do it without equipment. You can do it in the middle of your workday. You can do it in the morning. You can do it before you pick up your kids from school. I do it as a little ritual between my workday and then when I need to go pick up my son. So I've kind of over time built my schedule so that I can end with about a 30-minute buffer minimally. If you can get a 60-minute buffer and you're wanting to do it my way, that would be better. But getting that little 30-minute buffer so you can do a little bit of something for your body, which will help your brain to work better. I'm going to go ahead and link, rather than going on and on about what high intensity interval training is and what sprint interval training is in this week's episode. I'm just going to link some good articles for you to learn about, and I'll link some of my favorite free resources for that. But mama, this is your time to get skilled. Figure out what are your movement practices? What are your teachers for those movement practices that you trust? I'll share mine with you, but find your tools, and they don't have to be high cost things. Usually it's really hard to get to a class. As a mom, it's really hard to find the right type of a class that works with your work schedule and your family schedule and your kids' school schedule and your daycare schedule. So now is the time to figure out what are your home-based or community resources that you can pop into to do a 20 to 30 minute little boost for your brain and your body. The recommendation is about 2 of these sessions a week. So try to get 1 hit and 1 sprint in every week. And if you're in a season where it's really impossible to get movement in, I feel you. I see you. You're not a bad person. It's okay. You'll find another season where you're able to support your body better. But if you are starting to feel like you either want to maximize what you're already doing or you can start to add something in, consider short, high intensity, or sprint interval sessions. It will really help with the brain fog. Are you still with me here? Thank you so much for listening and hanging in. I'm saving 2 of my favorites for last. The 5th favorite support, and again, this one is free, so I love offering free resources, is to think about adding a nervous system influencing practice into your day, either throughout the day or during that little wind down, end of the workday, end of the day ritual. We want to train our bodies and brains to be able to move into a parasympathetic state. Most working moms are dealing with quite a bit of stress coming from caregiving, stress coming from making gains at work or just trying to keep your head above water at work, stress from working through relationship challenges with a partner if you have one, relationship challenges with aging parents if that's the season you're in, or just relationship challenges with trying to find the friends and the inner space within ourselves that kind of fit our season of life. And that that high volume of demand and all of those stressors that we're navigating with on a daily basis, it can kind of influence our nervous system to move into a more protective stance. We can move into a sympathetic nervous system state that's kind of like your fight flight state that's just readying you at all times to rise to the occasion, to respond to things if they are threats and big experiences that you need to move through immediately. And that chronic sympathetic nervous system demand can really start to have an impact on your cognition, on that brain fog, and on the way that your memory and mind is working for you. We get less efficient. We go into a less efficient cognitive state when we're just in a prolonged stress place. So we want to start, even when the stressors haven't changed, we want to start being able to train our minds and bodies to down regulate and come into a parasympathetic place. Now, this takes a lot of practice. And sometimes we need a few different tools to really help us move into that parasympathetic place. But my 2 favorite tools that I will make sure that you have links for audio practices for in this podcast, because I want you to have all the goods right at your fingertips. So you don't have to look for it or research it. Just scroll down to the show notes and then you'll see a link, is non-sleep deep rest protocols, or NSDR, and also a physiological sigh breathing practice. Those are my 2 favorite ways as a busy working mom to start to bring in a little bit more rest, a little bit more tension release, and a little bit more body-based, nervous system-based strategic support into my day. So non-sleep deep rest is like a guided visualization exercise where you're kind of reclining in a seat or laying down. And I'm just going to guide you through how to bring your attention flexibly throughout the body and start to de-stress, release tension, and unwind. So try out that NSDR audio if you're interested. Let me teach you the physiological sigh. There's so much science behind this, but this is already in a long episode, so I'll save the science for it for another episode. But the physiological sigh has so much efficacy for anxiety support, stress management, and it really does move quickly in the brain-body connection to help you move toward that parasympathetic nervous system state. And the physiological sigh is where you're going to take a deep breath in about halfway or 2/3 of the way, you're going to pause and hold the breath for a moment. And then you're going to take a second inhale, hyperinflating your lungs, getting the fullest inhale capacity that you can. And then you're going to exhale out of your mouth through pursed lips, kind of like you're breathing through a straw. And you're going to let that exhale be as slow as possible. So maybe try a few of those breaths with me right now, friend. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Fill up about halfway or 2/3 of the way and pause. And then inhale all the way, hyperinflate your lungs, fill your lungs to maximum capacity, and then slowly exhale. Try to make that exhale come very patiently and generously out of pursed lips until you're empty. Do it once more. Take a deep breath in. When you're about 2/3 of the way or so, pause there, linger for a moment, and then take a second inhale. Breathe into your fullest capacity, and then exhale through pursed lips, slowly, steadily working your way out. If you like a counted breath, think about breathing in for like 6 counts, pausing, and then breathe in for another 4, and then exhale slowly for 10. Now that's kind of a generous breath cycle. If you're like, there's no way, Cara, I can get my breath to come out for 10 or to go up for 10, just shorten it, friend. Think about a 6 count breath cycle. So breathing in for 4, inhaling up to 2. So to get to that 6 count on the inhale, and then exhale slowly for a count of 6. That physiological sigh, if you even do 3 full rounds before a meeting, before you send an email, as a transitional routine between one task to the other, even just 3 short breaths can make a difference in signaling safety to your nervous system and bringing that parasympathetic invitation to your mind and body. And how I like to bring this breath exercise into my day, in addition to what I just shared, 3 few breaths as a transitional practice a couple times a day, I like to do it before bed. So I do a little bit of a before sleep, closing out the day ritual in my mind and in my emotions. And I like to either start that ritual or end that ritual with maybe setting a timer for like 3 to 5 minutes and just doing that physiological sigh over and over again until the timer is done. Even if my mind is wandering, as long as I'm following that physiological sigh breath pattern, I know I'm doing something really good and healing for my nervous system. Okay, last one. So my last favorite support is to consider getting some advice and some guidance from a knowledgeable provider for menopausal hormone therapy. You might also know of it as HRT. So it's MHT, menopausal hormone therapy, or HRT, hormone replacement therapy. They're kind of interchangeable right now in the medical community and in the mental health community, but menopausal hormone therapy might be a really important support as you're navigating brain fog. And especially if you find that your confidence feels like it's waning, you're not able to be as productive as you actually really need to be for your career or your profession, if you're feeling embarrassed or self-conscious about can't remember specific names, can't remember things that used to be right at the tip of your tongue, if it's causing some stress in your relationships because you just, by the end of the day, like you're forgetting all your words and you're just not able to be your best self. I've lived that. And if that is what you're going through, then it is worthwhile to do a consult with a knowledgeable menopausal hormone therapy provider. I'll make sure to link the National Menopause Society and the links and a few of my favorite little directories for specifically trained women's physicians that specialize in menopausal hormone therapy in women's health and midlife. As estrogen and progesterone are fluctuating pretty significantly in this kind of zone of chaos. So as you're moving into that critical decade, like 35 to 45 or a little bit older, you are entering into that perimenopause zone where no matter what, your hormones are going to start to decline. And as they decline, they're going to fluctuate for some people really wildly and erratically. And so, what most people don't realize, even some doctors, is that perimenopause doesn't begin in your ovaries. It actually begins in your brain. So, specifically, the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland starts to notice these fluctuations and declinations. And these hormonal command centers of the brain are not responding like they used to because they're not getting the reliable hormonal influences that they're used to getting. And your body and brain are going to feel that chaos. So perimenopause is a full body, full brain transition, and it actually touches every system of your body. And the systems that influence your cognition are definitely going to start to get affected. And sometimes testosterone starts to fall off at this time, and considering supplementing testosterone can be a huge boost to brain fog and cognition. So it's worth learning more before you're ready to start bringing this tool into your toolkit, this menopausal hormonal therapy tool. Before you're ready, start to do some research. Start to follow some thought leaders, whom I'll also list below, so that you can be starting to learn about what MHT is and if it might be a benefit to you. For me, it was a key part of my cognitive support system. My first signs of perimenopause were massive sleep disturbances and cognitive changes, including mood and brain fog. Those are my top 3 perimenopause symptoms, especially in the beginning. And I did a lot of the earlier lifestyle things that I recommended to you all today before, but the thing that really moved the needle on my sleep, which therefore had huge positive impacts on cognition and mood support, was menopausal hormonal therapy. I really, really benefit from estrogen, progesterone, and then eventually, as I aged and my body started needing it and showing that I needed it, testosterone as well. Okay, friend, let me just run down that list before we end today's episode, because there are 6 things. If you just do 1 or 2 of them, you might notice a really significant difference in your memory, in your cognition, and that pesky brain fog that none of us want to suffer from unsupported. So consider increasing protein and fiber, especially early in the day. Consider bringing some creatine into your world. There's some significant brain protective and supportive benefits. Start to dial in your strategy, number 3, for closing out the mental and emotional burden that you're going to go through every day. 4, consider incorporating 2 mini sessions, 20 to 30-minute sessions of high intensity interval or sprint interval training into your movement routine. 5, bring in some nervous system supports into your day. Consider trying out my NSDR protocol and consider practicing that physiological sigh throughout your day or at a regular time in the day that works for you. You want to encourage a little bit more movement into your parasympathetic state to manage stress and to free up some critical bandwidth in your mind. And then the last one, consider menopausal hormone therapy or find a doctor who specializes in this who can help you on that journey. Thank you so much for listening, and I can't wait to hear what you think about today's episode. Make sure to look at all of the links for all of the resources provided today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.